What's good YouTube, and welcome to the house. People are really focusing on Duelist Pack Kaiba after everybody rushed for the crush card within this set. They started looking around, some of these ultimate rares look really great, why are they so cheap? The unlimited printing of Duelist Pack Kaiba is so much newer than the first edition printings and has been rewaved time and time again, so there's a lot more of it, so much to the fact that there's actually a physical difference in these cards that people are buying out. Look at this first edition, old style ultimate rare, you don't have the borders holographic or anything. With the unlimited waves, you actually have the holographic borders and around the text box and everything. You tend to have players that don't necessarily like that, and despite whatever personal preference you may have, the market does speak to the point that the first edition print is so much less available that it is not going to fall out on market as easily, and you see vendors already lining up. This was $24.26 just a few days ago after buyout. $18, $18, $18, come on, buy it, come on, hit me, come on, take it from me, do a second wave, come on. They are wanting you to just go ahead and slurp these off market again because they're just gonna line up time after time, and it would take so much effort to actually raise these in price. Now, to its credit, Cyberjar is an interesting card to talk about because it is legal in GOAT format. A lot of people choose not to because of the madness and RNG with it, but it is a funny card that you see underused in GOAT format, and the same with Ring of Destruction Ultimate Rare, technically one of its highest rarities, but you also have, like, I believe a retro pack version, you have the original First Ed Secret Rare. People just don't take this Ring of Destruction as seriously. Oh, and you also have the Lost Art now. But with that physical difference in the card, the just absurd amount of unlimiteds that are in products, because you've had a special edition, you had the original unlimited, you had, you know, also the Kaiba collector's box, you've had so many opportunities to get these Kaiba packs unlimited that they physically changed the cards over time, so please keep that in mind when it comes to this set. Now, another buyout that happened was Arturgis, which I got asked many times if I've seen on my live stream when it's literally on the thumbnail of last Market Watch, but what is really weird is when I showed it on Market Watch, there were still $18 copies, and people decided that was even a good price, and now you see it at $40 to $55 for the ultimate rare. I don't think there's any way this holds up. Noble Knights are loved by many, but this price on market, you're saying it's the modern day Madrat of, like, Noble Knights. I get that it will see play in the Fire version, and people are quoting that the Fire version does see a lot of OCG Japanese meta play. They're in a state of emergency right now in a lot of their places that's about to be, like, unreleased for certain places and stay intact for others. They're in a similar situation to the rest of the world, so their meta may not be what it would be if everybody's playing in real life, and I haven't sat down to give the deck the time of day that I really should, so I'll research that later, but to give it this much hype on market in such a volatile market, that seems weird. But the ultras and platinums are starting to disappear. You know, platinum rares disappearing, it's getting pretty serious. First had ultras, etc., disappearing off market and just not available for the most part, and then the platinum rares, yep, there they are, go ahead and take them. They really are running out, so if you want to get yours, maybe it is smart to get yours sooner than later for the lower rarity, but I wouldn't be touching these kinds of prices with a 10-foot pole, especially fresh after buyout. Double buyout, by the way. Tsukiyomi is bought out to the point of $90. You thought it was jokes when I said every single ultimate rare is getting bought out on market. Tsukiyomi is a weird one because with GOAT format, we've seen this bought out time and time again. It used to rest at $18, and then it starts resting at $40. Now it tries to fall back towards $50, which it was the other day, gets bought back out, and tries to go towards $100 again. How many buyouts will it take for it to rest above $70, though? Tsukiyomi constantly gets focused, constantly falls back out, and has a cycle of rebuys, and it can't really seem to stick up there. GOAT format isn't necessarily what it once was in terms of popularity, although it is seeing a resurgence and a lot of people talking about it and starting to expand on decks that just aren't standard GOAT. You know, a couple of years ago, you'd be like, you want to play, you know, my beatdown deck? Beastdown's kind of interesting. Sure. You want to play against my burn deck? Heck no. You want to play against this interesting deck from GOAT? No, I just want to play, you know, Chaos or Mirrors or whatever. It was very limited into what people would actually accept to play against, and now you have whole tournaments based on the open meta. So you are seeing maybe some new blood into GOAT format, but this is still just weird to me that you have all these cycles and you continue to see it fall down. So everybody who truly loves the format, I feel like so many less people are actually getting into it, that this is vendor hot potato, and there's a bubble that will burst somewhere, but not during this crazy of a market. You're not going to see the bubble burst there, but somewhere along the line, the fact that it keeps going down like that somebody's gonna unload somewhere, I feel like. Caius, the Shadow Monarch, is a very interesting card to talk about. We actually saw this on stream last night because it's weird that the first edition sealed structures are so much, yet you can still get first ed Caiuses for under $2 to $3. It's a weird duality there with the original first edition structure decks. But versus the Ultimate Rare, it also has a recent buyout, and there's just a ton of ways to like look at this. I think other past formats will eventually get popularized in Yu-Gi-Oh!, but it's gonna take a long time and a lot of interesting eyes. For GOAT format, it took a ton of pros, it took ARG, it took a lot of people coming all together to popularize GOAT format. I do wonder what one of the next ones will be, but you see Caius here bought out to the point of $80 to $90 versus a market price of $45. He's just steadily increased. I remember when he used to sit at $28 to $30 forever, and he's slowly gone up over time, and now quickly. The Code Talker got a buyout for its ulti. It was sitting, I want to say, around 15, 16 once again, and we see it doubling up to 33 to 35. I don't think there's any potential for this metagame. Last time he spiked, it was actual metagame play against certain situations. It's been a long time since that, but he is an ace monster. He is Yusaku's card, so I could see it being somewhat collectible, but it's still a weird one to see it try to stick. Link Spider, I do think, has potential for future metagames, especially with token play, and he's bought out to the tune of $27, $28. I don't like DT buyouts. Every time I see a DT buyout, unlike an Ultimate Rare buyout, it never, ever sticks to any level. And here we see DD Crow DT to ridiculous proportions, $52 to $55. Ain't nobody buying at that. And you see people with 22 copies of these. That's why none of these buyouts are going to stick. There's people with thick stacks of DT things from back in the day just waiting for stuff like this to happen to try to make actual sales. Quick Draw Synchron, actually multiple of its versions have got bought out. I don't know if I have another tab open for that, so we'll see. It's Color Rares got bought out, which, you know, they're actually applying that to core sets. Every Duelist League buyout always feels like it fails over time too, but people get sucked into the metagames. They'll pay extra on Baby Sarasaurus, which also got bought out recently, but I don't know about those Color Rares keeping any value despite the new Joey pack, and you also have the Dragon of Legends pack coming back with them. I don't think it'll popularize it, but we'll see. You never know with the market. Also, you see a DT buyout here alongside those rares. Yeah, I actually pulled up them all. So you see that the Duelist League promos, they're all getting bought out for this man's as well for the most part. Lowest listing, $35. Oh boy. Nobody's going to be paying. You really should be trying to list somewhere where somebody who feels like they missed out might actually want it. Like, $10? Wow, I did miss out. Like, if you're trying to make a sale, go there instead of going ridiculous. Trust me, sometimes it may actually work out for you if you're a vendor. Gem Knight Fusion, another DT buyout happening. I was notified. We see it towards 13 to 17. All I have to say about this is solid rocks, brother. Yes, you can still FTK. Trishula is a DT I like to talk about, though, in the fact that there can be things that really do stick around when it comes to the DT buyouts. You saw 1 through 4 clearance. You actually saw this crash at one point, and you saw it re-stabilize up. You do have the Ultimate Rare as a comparable, but people really have that nostalgia goggle eyes on this card in its DT form, and it's really able to stick up there in price over time with collectors wanting it. That when I say DT buyouts tend not to work out, it's more towards the common rare supers, not the truly heralded for their time cards like Trishula. I just don't see DD Crow sticking up for a high price. When looking at this price, well, I'm starting to think about the Ultimate Rares, and maybe that was the purpose of the buyout. Who knows with how the market is these days and people's reasonings. Also with Trishula, I wanted to comment that the fusion continues to go up. I get a lot of decks are choosing it as an option, choosing to play it, and it also helps make True Kings of all calamities because it's a level 9. Remember that this is coming out in Battles of Legend and that the entire world will get to play it. I get that you may have the reasoning that a jump promo will hold value, but right now this is the only playable version of it. I could even see the reasoning of this being the last jump promos, adding to the collectability aspect to it in your mind. This will still go down in price from here. once you have the reprint, it will have a point when it bottoms out, and that is what you should be trying to aim for if you truly think this is a long-term investment for those reasons. Right now it's overinflated and people just want to have their cards in hand. Wait for Battles of Legend, it could even be a secret rare, but this would still be the higher rarity being a jump promo, and it really could have some collectible aspect due to that, but I don't think at this pricing, and I think you'll see a bottom out pricing soon. Speaking of bottoming out, I just wanted to laugh a little at Neos Fusion. Now, Neos Fusion is no joke. I've had my butt kicked by it in a duel, and if you haven't, boy, does it feel bad to have Rainbow Neo summoned on you. But just a note, if you felt like you missed out before, it's already back down to $1, $1.50. I saw people scrambling, even trying to buy these at $3. Well, here's the fallout between all that funniness. And when it does come to this card, it's out of Savage Strike, which is up for reprints. I'd love to see this as a prismatic secret rare in the Megatons. That would be a great hollow up foil to a hero card there, even if it doesn't have the greatest of prices. Token Collector is being talked about seriously. It does activate from hand or graveyard, and I get that a lot of the format is using tokens to go up the line. Not the worst card in the world, but sneak peek promos historically have a hard time staying up in price, and usually another holofoil printing of something comes out if there's true demand for it. But not the worst thing in the world. I just personally would be staying away from it, or, you know, if I'm considering it as a tech, maybe go with it. I just don't feel like sneak peek promos ever really hang in there. Finally, a card that I found interesting that I've seen a little bit of play online, but nothing too serious, is Fusion Deployment. I think long-term investing is kind of ruined by the Megatons and so many reprints, but with this card coming out of Eternity Code, I think there will be a point where this is like a $2 ultra rare for a bit, and with the name Fusion in the name, that gives it a lot of potential within metagames, and its effect is pretty absurd. Reveal a fusion monster from your extra deck and special summon from your hand or deck one of the fusion materials whose name specifically listed on the card. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters the turn you activate this card. So you are locked. It's not one of those nice effects where it's the rest of the turn. It's this turn. But for a lot of decks, even Dark Magician and other casual decks, they're taking looks at this, and over time after this bottoms out, that could bring it up. We often see casual does not mean broke, and when it comes to an ultra rare in a set now, you're barely getting a play set for $720 spent on a case, because you're looking at 42 total ultras to have a play set of every ultra in a case, and you only pull 48 ultras out of a case. So I think that this, over time, you could see it have its moment, maybe even in a metagame, depending on what develops and what's created. You're rushing versus Megatons as an investment, but I do think that this will be one of those cards that casuals overall love because it gives such a huge power boost to fusion summoning decks. I really like this card, but that's why you don't think with your player brain always when it comes to investing. I gave a ton of butts there, didn't I? My player brain used to get me in a lot of trouble whenever I used to invest on the market. So, that being said, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation, and let me know what you think of everything happening between the DT and ulti focuses and things going on with Core Sets right now. A lot of Eternity Code is actually going down in price still from what you see, but surprisingly, Access Code Talk are refusing to buckle so far on the US market. Oh, I've also seen a ton of complaints of people, I haven't got my card in yet. Why haven't I got my card to TCG player sellers? This set is not out in the US yet. Have some freaking patience, especially on these sellers. I'm seeing walls of messages to some of the vendors that are showing me like, dude, can you do something about this? Like, I keep getting messages. It's driving me insane. Guys, if you're ordering from TCG Player and you're complaining about not getting your card yet from a set where the cards are not out, please consider, you know, rethinking what you might be sending to these vendors as angry rant messages when it comes to not getting your cards yet. You should have known the situation when buying. Thanks for watching, everybody.